All right. So, what is actually happening in the Edmonton market right now? Because if you've been watching these updates for a while, you've probably noticed that every few months the tone shifts. We go from high demand and bidding wars to balanced to this quiet middle ground where buyers start wondering if they should wait and sellers start wondering if they've already missed the peak. So today we're breaking down exactly where things landed for September 2025 using real numbers straight from the Realtors Association of Edmonton. And I'll show you which property types are holding strong, which ones are starting to cool off, and what this means if you're thinking about buying or selling before the end of the year. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Tristan, a full-time Edmonton-based realtor. And on this channel, I break down the market by the numbers so that you can make smarter real estate moves. No hype, no pressure, just honest data, clear advice, and a calm approach to buying or selling your home. If you're thinking about making a move in the next year or you just want to stay ahead of the market, make sure you subscribe because I make real estate make sense. All right, so let's set the stage first. Across the Greater Edmonton Area, we saw 3,641 new listings hit the market in September and about 2,191 sales took place. That gives us a sales to new listing ratio of about 60%, which means the market is technically balanced. It's not leaning heavily towards buyers or sellers. But the story behind that number depends on what kind of home that you're looking at. The average residential sale price came in just under $453,000 and the median price was $435,000. Both are up slightly year over year from 2024, $12,000 and $15,000 respectively. And when you look back 2 years to 2023, prices are up by almost 15%. So yes, prices have stabilized, but they've stabilized at a much higher baseline than where we were just a couple of years ago. The average days on market across all residential types was 39 days, while the median days on market was at 27, which tells me that homes are still moving reasonably well, except for a few that have been lingering, driving up the average. It's definitely not the lightning quick market of early spring, but definitely not stagnant either. Now, let's start with detached homes, because this is still the heartbeat of the Edmonton market. In September, we had 2,202 new detached listings and 1,311 sales, which gives us a 60% absorption rate. Compare that to last year in September 2024, the absorption rate was closer to 70%. So what does that mean? Essentially, buyers have had more breathing room than they did last fall, but demand is still solid. Now, price-wise, the average detached sale price was $554,000 for September. Year to date, the average is sitting around $572,000, which is about 7% higher than the same time in 2024. The median price landed at $510,000 this month, which is up slightly from last year's $507,000. So prices are holding. What's interesting though is the sales volume. Detached homes alone accounted for about $726 million in sales volume this month alone, and over $7.26 billion year to date. That's a huge number, and it tells us that while the volume of transactions has dipped a bit from last year, the dollar value of what's moving is up, which means more of those higher end detached sales are happening. The sale to list price ratio is sitting right at 99%, so most homes are still selling within 1% of asking price. And in terms of time on market, detached homes are averaging 37 days with a median of 26, which are pretty healthy numbers. If you list a well-priced detached home in the right area and it's still gone in about 3 to 4 weeks. Now, here's something I want to point out because this is where a lot of people misread the numbers. When they see absorption rate dropped from 70% to 60%, they assume prices must be falling. But what's actually happening is a bit of a normalization. Inventory has ticked up, but demand hasn't vanished. It's just more spread out. So instead of 10 offers on one listing, we might see 2 or 3 serious buyers per home. And that's a good thing. It means buyers finally have some room to think, to negotiate, and to include conditions. And sellers, if they're priced right, are still selling close to full list price. That's a balanced market, and it's exactly what we've been expecting heading into the fall. Next up, semi-detached homes. This category continues to be one of the most stable performers this year. We had 333 new listings in September and 238 sales, which gives us a really strong 71% absorption rate, much higher than detached. That's up slightly from last month and shows that entry-level and move-up buyers are still leaning to this property type. The average sale price came in at $433,000, and year-to-date, it's sitting around $431,000. That's about 5% higher than 2024's year-to-date number of $408,000. The median sale price was $423,750. Again, steady compared to last year's $407,000. Time on market, the average was 38 days, while the median was 22 days. So these homes are moving relatively quickly, and in many areas, especially new communities around St. Albert, Spruce Grove, and Southwest Edmonton, semi-detached homes are the go-to for people who want a newer build but can't stretch into detached pricing. And here's the key number. Sales to list price ratio was at 99%, meaning that on average, homes are selling for 99% of their list price, which is the same as detached, which is telling me that there's very little discounting happening in this segment. Row and townhouse sales dipped a bit this month, but they're still one of the most affordable ways into the market. In September, we saw 506 new listings and 308 sales, and a 61% absorption rate. That's down from the 89% we saw in September 2024, but that's only because last year's fall market was extremely tight. So this is still a relatively strong number. Average sale price for a townhouse in September was $303,000, with the median right around $304,000. Year to date, the average price sits at $306,000, which is relatively flat compared to last year's $288,000. So modest appreciation, but steady demand. The sale to list price ratio is about 98%, which is the lowest of all the main segments, meaning there's slightly more room to negotiate here than on a detached or a semi-detached. Average days on market are 40 with a median of 29, so again, roughly a month. Townhouses are kind of the quiet strength of the Edmonton market. They're not flashy, but they offer affordability, especially for first-time buyers who are being priced out of detached homes. And investors are starting to appear in this segment too, since rental demand has stayed strong and new purpose-built projects are still limited. Now let's talk about condos, because this segment is quietly making a comeback. September saw 600 new condo listings with 334 sales, giving us a 56% absorption rate. That's softer than the low-rise segment, but better than the historical average. The average sale price was $207,000 with a median around $193,000. Year to date, the average is about $213,000, which is up slightly from $200,000 in 2024. So we're seeing gentle appreciation, but what's more important is that condo sales volume has jumped. Over 3,500 condos have sold so far in 2025. This means confidence is coming back. Condos are still the most affordable entry point in Edmonton's housing ladder, and as detached homes cross the mid-500s, that gap is pulling more people into the condo market. Average days on market are 46 days with a median of 36. So yes, condos take longer to sell, but we're starting to see more demand from single professionals, downsizers, and first-time buyers who just want to own something now before prices creep even higher. So what happens next? Heading into the final quarter of 2025, we are likely to see things continue cooling seasonally, as we always do, but not in a negative way. Inventory will stay a little higher than last year, but demand is going to stay steady because of migration and affordability relative to other Canadian cities. Remember, Edmonton's average home price is still over $200,000 less than Calgary's, and less than a third of Vancouver's. That's a huge value gap that keeps driving people here. And we're seeing that in the interprovincial migration stats. Mortgage rates are also expected to hold through the end of the year. The Bank of Canada's pause has brought a lot of people back to the conversation. But not everyone's jumping at once, which is exactly why this balanced market is such a sweet spot for smart buyers. If you're thinking of buying right now, fall is actually one of the calmest times to do it. Less competition, more room to negotiate, and motivated sellers who want to close before year end. If you're selling, pricing accuracy is everything. The homes that sell right now are the ones priced realistically from day one. Miss the mark and you'll sit. Get it right and you'll sell in 3 to 4 weeks on average. So that is where the Edmonton market stands heading into fall. Balanced, steady, and still full of opportunity if you've got the right strategy. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button because I post these market updates every month, plus deep dives into Edmonton neighborhoods, buyer strategy, and some investment insights. And if you're thinking about making a move before the end of the year, whether it's buying your first home, selling, or just figuring out what your place is worth, send me a quick message or drop your neighborhood in the comments. I will run the numbers for you personally and show you exactly what's happening in your market. Because at the end of the day, real estate isn't about hype, it's about clarity. And my job is to present things as clear as possible for you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.